like an audience with you later today or at your availability, be it for dinner or a meeting, for a diplomatic visit to make a presentation to you and to invite you to discuss opportunity here in Fulton County. The reason that I am here is for a very special discovery in Fulton County Probate Court. Probate court is where people file their wills, their last will and testament. We have records dating back to 1847, which predates the Civil War here in America. One day, as I was walking through our archives, I noticed that our records predated the Civil War. So I asked my staff to look at the wills and see if any of the wills gave away human beings. Within the first 10 minutes, we found 3 wills where slave owners bequest their wills. I give 3 Negro slaves to my sister-in-law, 2 Negro slaves to my brother, and on. In one of the wills, a man stated that he wanted, upon his death, to send all of his slaves to Liberia, and he wanted to pay to transport them and give them $100 each. This is in 1840s. It's a lot of money. And he gave some money to the American Colonization Society. We were so shocked to learn the history that some slave owners sent their slaves to Liberia. That was something that we don't often hear about. I alerted the press. We got all sorts of news, and people began to ask to see our wills. We were contacted by various groups. It went viral, over 1 million hits. And so in this type of information and relationship, people are interested in learning. As people research genealogy, their own genealogy and history. And so we were excited to connect with you because I have brought for you today a copy of that will, and it's kind of hard to read. So it's transcribed in typing. And so we also have more official copies that we would like to present to you if you're able to meet with the chairman of the board. And so it's hard to read it, but that's essentially what it says about giving the giving the slaves back to sending them to Africa. So we would love to make the connection and be a part of any efforts to strengthen the relationship. Part of those efforts in strengthening that relationship is documenting the relationship. I am also here joined by a group, 5 Points Media, who is actively engaged, and also a Liberian citizen, who is actively engaged in working on a documentary explaining that trade and relationship. And if you have a moment, I will allow him to share more.
Sure. Aaron Faulkner, everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. An honor to be in your presence, sir. In addition to what's in the will, the slave owner also bequeathed 1/3 of his land, which is in Fulton County and 2 other counties in Georgia, to the slaves and their descendants. It's explicitly written in the will and their descendants, which means that there are potentially folks in Liberia who are connected to land owned here in Fulton County. So this documentary will really aim to retell the story of Liberia in a way that brings healing, understanding, and a true way forward for the country to move away from, some of the tumultuous past, so to speak, and reshaping a lot of that story, giving respect to indigenous Liberians, and telling the story of Liberia before the repatriates came. So that is the aim of this documentary, to really tell the true story of Liberia. And those who are here and abroad, UK, wherever, they now will look back to Liberia to see how we can all connect and rebuild.
Interesting.
Sure.
And so with that information, again, we would like to invite the opportunity to present and to meet with the leaders of Fulton County. And we know you have a short timeline, so we're available at a moment's notice if you have a moment. I don't want to put you on the spot, so you all let us know once we leave if there's going to be a time in which we can have the leadership of this area to come and meet with you. And if there are any questions.
Alright, so we'll look at the schedule and the Lawrence or Arizona. My name is Boakai, and so stay with our portfolio. I think we've been talking.
Yes.
Yes, so we'll look at the schedule. Tentatively, we'll be looking at it.
Introduce ourselves.
Sarah Bestonian, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Lagos State Economy, the advisor to the president.
I'm a capability, Minister, stay with our portfolio.
Executive Assistant to the President.
Iran's Muslim coordinator for diaspora affairs of the President of State.
Elizabeth Miana Armstrong, coordinator for this visit.
Ambassador Charles Snyder, Ambassador at Large, Executive Manager.
And I'm the Europe Profile with the Liberia in Liberia. And I've been in touch with their office and used for our office, so I'll be more than happy to facilitate.
And one last thing I neglected to mention, I can't believe it. There is a black college here in this area. And Atlanta is known for their black colleges. We have the convergence of several black colleges. There's a black college that, Morris Brown College in particular, they are resetting their model. They recently received I-9 clearance to accept international students. And I would love to make the introduction with the president to discuss a pipeline of students being able to matriculate at Morris Brown College. So there's a few other opportunities that we'd like to further explore, but it starts with meeting with the head of Fulton County, who is offering himself at your availability.
Thank you so much. I like Dr. Conant, who actually lived there for years, 4 hours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I taught at Morehouse and was chair of the history department for 18 years. And there was this, in fact, we did some connections with regards to the repatriation project of Liberians that went back to Liberia. Because of that, we're going to do a rewriting of the Liberian history, a chapter with regards to the relationship between those Africans that return and what happened, where they are right now. And so we've begun some work for a very long time, because what happened, we traced the routes that they took while they were going back, and we're working on that. So we'll be glad to collaborate with you. I think it's still an opportunity to rekindle those ideas with regards to this relationship and what those Africans that returned and where they were and what they did to put them back into some context. And so.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that there's a professor at Morehouse that is consulting with the documentary, who is, I believe she's now leading that research now. What's her name again?
Alvarado Sims.
Alvarado Sims.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so she's involved.
I left Morehouse and went back home 2010. And I usually would come back. And she was at Clark Atlanta, and then later on came back to Morehouse because we were looking for a historian there.
Okay, so she's
I'll
involved.
be glad to work with her.
Definitely.
Before my mother closes, but just come in, I just want to add also think this is a huge opportunity for
He's the
Liberia,
Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Liberia as a whole, because we are looking at several aspects. The issue of rebranding Liberia, which is important for sustaining our peace. Because if all Liberians, especially young people, know the value of what Liberia is and know the history of Liberia, the richness and diversity of Liberia, they will own it and be more nationalistic in their thinking. So this is very important. And the fact that the documentary is focusing on pre-repatriation, I think that is critical.
Awesome.
A lot of the narrative is Liberia was founded by free slaves, but there was a place with people before free slaves.
Yes, yes.
And that part of our history is lost.
Listen.
And we're trying to get our repositioning at the African Union and with ECOWAS and so forth. And all of the work that we've done over the years has been lost. And so this is very, very important as part of our work for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on rebranding Liberia. So this documentary, I look forward to it. I also think any information we have that we can give you, because we have a lot of information at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Dr. Konen, knows a lot about some of that. We have a lot of people who have different pieces. I think we can do our part to give you whatever we have to add value to that. And the last point I wanted to make is I've discussed this with Mr. President. We haven't taken it to the cabinet yet, so it's not approved yet. He hasn't approved it yet. But I've been talking to him about a concept. He continues to tell us, he said, Ghana stays that they're the gateway, but we're the destination. And in recent weeks, while we've been still talking, Benin has now overtaken us. Benin Republic now has issued citizenship. Once you're of African descent, you get your citizenship in Benin Republic. So while we're still talking, people are moving fast. What I really would like for us to do, and as the president is thinking about it, is a citizenship investment scheme. Because nobody's done that ever on the continent. A citizenship investment scheme would be where we don't only give citizenship, but you invest as part of the development plan. So if you're interested in the agriculture part of the agenda or the tourism part of the agenda, or you want to help to provide water for rural areas, whatever funding you give into that, you will see where your money is going, and then you get a citizenship in exchange, and that will be fun. It's never been done yet on the continent, and if we don't move fast, somebody else will steal that idea. And when I spoke with Delta, this is what inspired Delta. When I spoke to Delta about the fact that we want to do something like this and we could launch it here in Atlanta, Delta said we want to restart the conversation. So I just wanted to share. I shared it in Detroit with the mayor, and the mayor said, I want my citizenship first. So there's a lot of interest, but we have not had it approved yet. We haven't launched it yet, but I think it's important for you to know we're thinking about something like this. And if we're to launch it here, where the diaspora here wants to do the cultural center, all of that, it all comes together. So just sharing that with you all.
Well, Ghana did the year of the return.
Yes.
And all we need is an invitation. That's
Okay.
it. Okay. We want the invitation. And I personally, as well as Chairman Rob Pitts, will share that we are excited to come and visit. And I think even more conversations will come once we're able to see the opportunities that are there for us to connect.
And if I could share.
Just the Minister of Nation, a lot of conversations. We are looking at 2024 to be the annual return. So we have a team currently that is working on a comprehensive plan that hopefully the president will clear that and he will extend an invitation throughout the opportunity. And this will be happening every year. So every year the same will be happening, and hopefully we keep raising up the follow-up conversations as well.
And I would say this, in conjunction with the arrest agenda, there are many African Americans here and Liberians who are very much interested in seeing how they can be a part in executing a lot of those ideas. We talked about it even with Delta. We was like, man, that would be great if they had direct flights going back to Monrovia from Atlanta. But one of the things that I think is very much at the forefront is education. And being able to create that pipeline. We said that Ghana and Nigeria may be the LA and New York of West Africa, but there's no Atlanta right now. There's no Georgia. And that was the place that Georgia has now overtaken LA and New York in terms of destinations for films.
Yeah.
And it's triggered so much wealth for Georgia in terms of hotels, food, restaurants. It generated, it boosted the economy here. And I believe that's something that we can actually do and duplicate in Liberia, because Fulton County is the backbone of that infrastructure.
Liberia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Fulton Films, which is a part of Fulton County, they created the blueprint that essentially boosted Georgia past LA and New York. And I believe that same thing can happen in Liberia.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Right. So thank you, George Johnson. I'm glad we managed to arrange this. When we were coming on this trip, the president actually said we were in transit, and he said Liberia has not really benefited or really reaped bring that connection together, our relationship with the United States. And to be honest, I think Georgia is a place where the root of our relationship with America. So when people go into Ghana, going for year of return, the real year of return should really be in Liberia. So I think that this meeting is very strategic.
Yeah.
We will work together to make it happen. And I'm sure we'll find some time in our schedule to make that meeting this evening, and we can discuss further. But thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Yes, and I will just add really quickly, this ties in with what I just presented to the president, and I will definitely work with you all to coordinate efforts to make sure that we streamline our resources and get targeted outcomes achieved. I've already emailed you, Judge Johnson, so if you check your email, you'll see an introduction from me. I'll coordinate with them, and I commit to creating a wholesome relationship.
Again, Rockets is willing to meet at your convenience. He said dinner, a cigar, whatever, whatever works for you. He's willing to do the proclamation and to give.
For the president.
Thank you for
Yeah.
this opportunity. I don't know how things are just falling in place, but we believe this is the right time. And we've been thinking about it, and we've been here trying a lot of things in Atlanta, and we know that there was something bigger than what we were thinking about. We are willing and ready. We've been here a couple of times in the 22 black universities. We've been working with them, working with the universities in Liberia. We've been pursuing the issue of BWI in Tuskegee. We have the BWI in Liberia and how we can work together. So we are open to a lot of discussions. I want to thank you for this research work. I'm happy to know that we got a lot of money here.
Where's the money store? We have to go to the judge's pocket for that money.
But Ghana, you can always allow them to be the step parents. We are the parents.
Absolutely.
We are where everything started. 1847. Liberia's independence.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And the first 9 presidents in Liberia came from the United States.
Yeah.
And so we knew that there's a matter of time that we claim our right position. We have this information, and we look forward to the meeting in Fulton County. And that's another thing that we do. We'll work between Atlanta and Liberia. So we can't wait. So thank you very much for your visit, and we'll find the time.
Yeah, so after this meeting, we'll find the time in the schedule.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All we need is an invitation.